like to welcome all of our friends and neighbors and colleagues and joining us in this regularly scheduled August 3rd, 2020 Hillsdale City Council meeting. As you come in, there'll be a sign-in sheet on the desk over there. Please sign your name. May I please have a roll call vote, City Clerk?
Councilperson Bell?
Here.
Reiner?
Here.
Veer?
Here.
Morrissey?
Here.
Sharp?
Here.
Stuchel? Pratt?
Here.
Sizer?
Here.
And Mayor Stockford.
Present.
8 present.
Thank you, Katie. We'll move into approval of agenda. Does the city manager or any members of council have any changes to make to the agenda tonight? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved. Support.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Bell. May I please have a roll call vote to approve the agenda?
Councilperson Reiner?
Yes.
Veer?
Yes.
Morrissey?
Yes.
Sharp?
Yes.
Pratt?
Yes.
Sizer?
Yes.
Mayor Stockford?
Yes.
Councilperson Bell.
Yes.
8-0, it's approved.
Thanks, Katie. We will move into public comment on agenda items only. During this time, the podium will be open. Please limit your comment to 5 minutes. Please limit your trips to 1 to the podium. And please, if you're going to speak on something, make sure it has a direct tie to something that's present on the agenda tonight. Podium's now open.
Hi, I'm Ruth Braun. I live at 45 Apple Run. I'm your District 1 County Commissioner, and I'd like to talk about under new business, item B, MERS. On the County Commissioner's agenda for next Tuesday, we're going to be making a decision about MERS at the county level. We've talked about MERS this whole year. MERS gave us the wrong figures, and we are severely underfunded at the Sheriff's Department on the county level because of the incorrect figures that MERS gave us. And we interviewed and then we hired an actuarial firm called Watkins Ross that came in earlier this year and gave us their projected figures and how far off we are. And we've tried to fully fund our Sheriff's Department pensions, but this problem with MERS, I would caution you to be very wary of MERS and don't just go by the figures that they give you. This is a problem that has persisted throughout the state of Michigan. It's not just Hillsdale County. It's a lot of municipalities that MERS has dealt with, giving municipalities the wrong figures by a lot. So I would just caution you when you're talking about MERS, double check their figures. And like I say, at the county level, we had Watkins Ross. We had them do an actuarial for us, and we will be making a decision at our meeting next Tuesday. Thank you. I'm probably going to leave early because I'm going to go campaign tonight, but I want to thank you for your dedication and your time. You're doing a very good job for the city of Hillsdale. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Any more public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the podium and we'll move into consent agenda. The consent agenda's got approval of bills, city claims July 9th, BPU claims July 9th, payroll of July 9th, city council meeting minutes of July 20th, TIFA board minutes of May 19th, Dawn Theater governance board minutes of May 26th, finance minutes June 29th, July 13th, and July 27th, border review minutes July 21st, quarterly investment reports, Southern Michigan Bank and Trust banking resolution, and Title 9 non-discrimination plan update. Any discussion on any of these items?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. I was trying to figure out what the update was to the Title 6?
Title 9, or Title 4, excuse me.
4, sorry. The other way? Yeah. In the letter it says Title 6, or on the front page. In the agenda it says Title 4. Anyway.
It should be Title 6.
Title 6? Okay. You can't keep track of all these titles. Anyway, I was just wondering what the update was. Was it just a year-to-year thing that we have to update the numbers, or were there sections that got added? I couldn't tell by going through it.
I don't know off the I don't know off the top of my head, Councilman Bell, if there's any specific question, we could actually pull it out. It's not something that has to be done today, so we could pull it out if you so choose, and then provided you that information for the next meeting.
I would just want to see what the changes were, because I see some sections on environmental justice and other things that I don't really agree with, but I realize we might have to have, depending on federal regs or something like that. So, anyway, could I make that request, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
That we just hold on it and get a red line version or just some explanation of what the differences are next time?
Entertain a motion to pull Title 6 Non-Discrimination Plan update from the consent agenda.
So moved. Support.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Zeiser, seconded by Councilman Bell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Any more discussion on the consent agenda?
Make motion to approve as amended.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Bell, seconded by Councilman Morrissey to approve the consent agenda. May I please have a roll call vote, City Clerk?
Councilperson Veer,
Yes.
Morrissey,
Yes.
Sharp,
Yes.
Pratt,
Yes.
Zeiser,
Yes.
Mayor Stockford,
Yes.
Councilperson Bell,
Yes.
and Briner.
Yes.
It's all approved.
Thank you, Katie. We will move on to communications petitions. Item A, Voice Your Vision Public Input Meeting. This will be held on August 5th, which is Wednesday, from 5 to 6. It'll be up here in council chambers, and the public is invited. It's regarding 2325 North Broad Street. Item B is our fall 2020 newsletter. It should come in everybody's BPU bills. Item C, Smith Governor to the letter. This is from Mr. Richard Smith. I see he's here tonight. I can read it for you, Mr. Smith. It says, Dear Governor Whitmer, in August 2019, I sent you a letter regarding the roads and my disappointment with MDOT regarding a problem with a dying tree in front of my neighbor at 59 South Broad Street. I was not happy with the service she received and believed it was a poor job of trimming. Attached is a photo taken with the top of the same tree lying on her front porch from a storm on June 10th. A call to the local street department had no response, as they said last year they had no control of MDOT roadway trees, and since it fell on private property, the owner would have to pay for it. Now she has a hollow tree with large limbs waiting for the next storm. She could pray for a northeastern to take it down the highway, then the street department might take action, but doubtful for a northeastern. My point, why do local municipalities have to get permission from the state to maintain state roadways through their designated limits? I believe every village, city, township, and county should be responsible for these roadways as long as they are maintained for the safety of the motorists and adjoining property owners, as local street and road commissions should be aware of their area versus the MDOT, who are away from the need. It seems that some have contracts to plow or salt state roadways, but little else. They should be responsible for all maintenance within certain guidelines, such as paving contracts on state roadways. A cost saving may be a result with less bureaucracy, as local street department crews are on this street every day. In the meantime, my neighbor wonders when the next limb will fall as she is getting her roof repaired at this writing. Hoping for action, Mr. Richard D. Smith. And Senator Shirkey, Rep. Lloyd Hoyser, and the city manager and the road commission were copied on it. Thank you for that letter, Mr. Smith. Item D is American Legion's Running for Heroes 5K. Mr. Hamilton is present tonight. Do you have anything to say, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, members of the council. I'm here because we're initiating some healthy living out at the Legion Club, not just at the club, but for the community. And would very much appreciate the city's support. We've received great support already. So I hope this is a formality, but I want to make it a good formality. That we very much look forward to this being the first in a series of events. We're calling it Running for Heroes. We're targeting law enforcement, fire department, National Guard outfits, possibly even fetal alcohol spectrum disorder parents and victims. So all kinds of heroes can be incorporated into this series. This one is a 5K for Vietnam Veterans of America, 5K for VBA. We'd like to put it on the 22nd of August. We're maintaining the size small for this trip. I've spent the last 7 years in Abu Dhabi, where my family were very involved in running triathlons and swimming events, and to the point that my daughter was employed by one of the largest event coordinators in that country, and so has some expert knowledge that we can lean on to help us make this happen and make it right. Listening to the governor's directive and keeping our size small helps us also, because we can cut our teeth on this one. Next month we may be able to increase size, and I'm hoping that this can be a much bigger deal. Bring more traffic to Hillsdale, bring more healthy living to Hillsdale, and we appreciate all of your support again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Appreciate you coming out tonight. Any discussion on any items in communications petitions? Seeing none, we will move on to all the way down to new business. Annual bow hunt. Is the chief online?
Yep, I'm here.
Thank you, chief. Any update this year that's different than the typical bow hunt?
No, we're not planning on doing anything different. We have not really lost tickets, so we anticipate doing the same number of hunters that will be issued permits to hunt on public land. All the rest of the applicants that are successful will be allowed to hunt on private property only with the property owner's permission. So pretty much the same as last year, no big changes.
Thank you, chief. Any questions for the chief? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the 2020 archery deer hunt within the city limits.
So moved. Oh, support.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Sharp, seconded by Councilman Bell. May I please have a roll call vote, City Clerk?
Councilmember Morrissey?
Yes.
Sharp? Pratt?
Yes.
Sizer?
Yes.
Mayor Stockford?
Yes.
Councilperson Bell?
Yes.
Briner?
Yes.
And Veer.
Yes.
8-0, all approved.
Thank you, Katie. We will move into new business item B, MERS 2019 annual valuation. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. As stated in the summary, and I'll read that, the funding ratio of the Hillsdale City Retirement Plan went from 80% on December 31st, 2018 to 77% on December 31st, 2019 due to market returns for the year. To start increasing the funding ratio of the plan, the city budgeted an additional $150,000 each from both the city and the BPU sides for 2020-21 year. So we're going to be applying additional monies towards our unfundedness. These additional payments, if we continue to make them annually, about that same amount, about $300,000 between the city and the BPU, should put us on track to be 100% funded in 10 years, barring any major market conditions. Additionally, we have applied for $235,000 in CARES Act reimbursement related to the Public Safety Department's COVID response. So this is for both police and fire. And if received, Chief Hepner and I have discussed applying these funds with City Council's approval to the Police and Fire MERS Division, which are two of the most underfunded in the city. Police Division is about 58% funded and the fire is at 70%. So these additional funds, our intention would be prorated based on the number of employees specifically to those two departments, given that's what they're for, is public safety. Now, we're not sure if we're going to be getting the CARES Act reimbursement yet, so when we hear on that, we would be bringing this item back to City Council. but I felt it important to share with council and the public what our position is with our pension plan. We have some divisions that are 100% funded, one in particular, that's DPS, and we have some that are like the police division is the lowest at 58%, and then we have a number in between. If you recall, we have made some changes to this through union negotiations and changes over the last couple years, where we have moved new hires to 401k style plans to kind of shed some of this future liability, and then have worked on negotiating adjustments to the plans themselves to increase the fundedness in the years to come. Unfortunately or fortunately, this is something on a pension plan that takes time to correct. So we're in that process of correcting it. The state actually gives you 20 years to fund your unfunded liability, but we've taken the approach as a city, as a staff, and as the council in the budget to target 10 years to try to do it in half that time. And, you know, we'll make our best effort to do that on an annual basis. With that, I'll take any questions from council that might have on the pension.
Councilman Morrissey.
Well, in light of Commissioner Brown's remarks, do we have any kind of independent knowledge of these figures that they've been giving us?
No, but I am familiar. I've been attending the annual conferences because we're actually, each city that's part of the MERS program, a employee representative and a management representative is sent. So I'm familiar with what's going into the actuarial numbers that MERS puts out. There's some things that they correct, like they make, it's a 3-year weighted average on your return for the year as opposed to just annual. So you might think like if you got a 14% return for 1 year, that's what you would account for your plan. And that's not actually, it's one of the factors that actually can reduce it because you're factoring in 2 more years. Also, they've increased, to try to address some of the unfundedness around the state, they've also increased the age in the actuarial calculations because people are living longer. So I feel fairly confident in our numbers. Unfortunately, they're not moving in the direction we want. That's why we're looking at making the additional contributions. But it is a complicated funding formula.
Any more questions? Councilman Zeiser?
Well, I just have more of a comment than a question. I'm certainly no actuary or math whiz otherwise, but I do appreciate our fiscally responsible approach. You hear all these horror stories about cities out in California having to fold up their police and fire shops because of unfunded pension liabilities. It's sort of a pension bomb, if you will. I think I've heard it likened to a time bomb. So I'm glad that we're getting on top of it and trying to do it, even splitting the distance and trying to do it more aggressively. I think that's great.
One thing to add to that, Councilman Zeiser, one of the probably the better things the community and the council has done in the past was we did not allow retiree health care. What you see in the state is there are a lot of communities that have retiree